The other day I wrote someone about Lynn and said she was a great lady. And I thought, what does that mean? The world says we're great if we have a lot of riches, or we have a lot of power, or we have a lot of authority, and Lynn wasn't like that. But she was a great lady, you would all agree. She was great because she loved Jesus so much. And she showed that to the rest of us. And I teased her about her mercy heart. Oh my goodness. If I had half of the mercy, I'd be all right. But we were walking partners 2 or 3 times a week, and so I'm going to miss that. But I got to share with you that her mercy heart went to the poor worms on the sidewalk. She could not pass by a worm on the sidewalk without gently picking up and seeing if it would survive. So, I mean, I'm going to miss the worms on the sidewalk. There aren't too many, but if they are, Lynn saved them.
Karen and I work in a mercy ministry, both here in church and with Campus Crusade. Lynn was a model of mercy to us. I clearly saw it in her. We've adopted the Chynoweths as part of our greater family for our Easter celebrations and Thanksgiving. They weren't able to join us this last Thanksgiving, but the one before is the enduring image I have of Lynn. When she brought her guitar to lead us all, we are reluctant singers, but she led us all in worship. And she was, besides being merciful, a worshipful woman, and we're richer for it.
I think it's quite fitting that it's raining during this memorial service because when I first met Lynn in Bophuthatswana, this is a homeland of South Africa near the Kalahari Desert, the rain is really a time of celebration and a blessing. So when something happens and it rains, God is blessing the occasion. And I think that's what's happening today as we look at the celebration of Lynn Chynoweth. I think that the big thing with my experience with Lynn and Helen over the past years is from a verse in 1 John, as we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus Christ cleanses us from all sin. And this walking in the light is something that we experienced in the late 70s. There were 10, 12, 13 missionaries that came to this homeland of South Africa, and John and Lynn were just newly married. They were married under a year, and they had people staying with them and living with them. Lynn would teach me how to wash dishes, and I never washed one dish in my life. So she, would teach us. I mean, this was before dishwashers. And she would also, a fellow teammate of mine told me a couple of days ago that Lynn actually would wrap the towel, and there would be little fights in the kitchen, as the dishes would be mounting in the kitchen after our team meetings. So Lynn even bruised this friend of mine. But she was a merciful person. And she really taught us what it meant to have open communication, transparency, to walk in the light. And we were all young, in our early 20s. We had lots of things, but we came together to really change the world for Christ and to change Africa for Christ. But I think through Lynn's, she was our senior mother there, really, the senior staff person. She really created an environment of warmth, and God really changed our lives as a result of her open communication.
She was Auntie Lynn to our children, having known most of them while they were still pre-birth. And that meant a lot. I was hoping that she would be around to help me through my teenage boy years, because our first years together, having a home group together, she would talk about you, Mike, and you, Jim. And she loved you so much. And she would go through, well, now the cat's out of the bag, she would go through these long, involved stories about you two, and at the end say, so just pray. But I wanted to leave you with this, just how sweet her spirit was and how obviously close to the Lord she was. When we were living in France, we had had 4 months of relentless snow, rain, clouds, cold weather. And John and Lynn were gracious enough to come visit us for the long weekend. And when she got there, she apologized to me because she admitted to me that she had prayed for snow while they were there. So after an afternoon of visiting a cheese factory and an amazing lunch and visit to a chocolate factory, on the way home, it snowed all the way home. And that just shows how much God loved to lavish on Lynn Chynoweth and how much he loved her. And we are so honored to still have Uncle John in our midst, and just look at Jim and Mike and see how well she loved you, and that's model enough for us.
I really can't add much to that, but to say that Lynn and John came into our lives when they came back from Africa. They're part of our home group for a number of years, and still those that, some of you are here that were in our home group, we still like to get back together, even though we kind of gone to different parts of town or overseas, and still talk about that home group that was the best home group we'd ever been in. Sorry if you're in a different home group now. Chris and Karen know we're part of that. But I used to love to kind of tease Lynn a little bit because she was so sincere and so merciful and borderline so serious, and I would work up some story and she was just enthralled, and I would just couldn't stand it anymore, and I had to let her know that it wasn't the truth at all. She'd kind of go, oh, you know, like that. But obviously a wonderful lady, and we love you guys, and we thank you so much for coming to see us when we were in Geneva. God bless.
Kind of gets you, doesn't it? I think the thing that I'm going to miss the most is this picture right here. Is her smile. There's something about her eyes and her smile that reached out and gave you a big hug. And I think her smile and her hug, they radiated the love of Christ to us all. So I'm going to miss that.
Lynn and our firstborn, Kathy, were the same age and the best of friends in Swaziland. And I'll never forget one day in a rather crude little house, as most of them were in Swaziland, with my wife Sue and Kathy and Lynn, talking girl talk. I had a newspaper, and I was kind of out of the conversation intentionally. And then Lynn began to talk about John, somebody named John. And the way she talked about him, whatever I was reading, I forgot about it. And Lynn loves to tell about that newspaper coming down. And when I saw the sparkle in her eyes as she talked about John, I knew this guy was somebody special, and I was going to get to know him.